This streamer threatened to sue Ethan Klein, then started a GoFundMe and raised over $40,000 in efforts to sue him, and then walked it all back within the same week. What is up, Quaker Nation? Today we're going to be going over popular streamer Denims. More specifically, we're going over her legal threats to sue Ethan Klein for defamation. This defamation is in regard to him accusing her of getting CPS called to his house. I've known a little bit about this story, so I decided to actually sink my teeth into it, learn more about it, and then I wanted to share that with you guys and leave it up to you guys to come to your own conclusions as to why Denims has walked back her threats of legal action. Before we get into the history of it, let's get into what kickstarted the last week here. So 6 days ago, Denims makes a legal demand for retraction against Ethan Klein after he repeatedly alleged the streamer was responsible for the CPS visit made to his home. Don't worry, we will be getting into what that is even referencing. And so this is that legal documentation that Denims sent over to Ethan, and it's, as you can see here, demand for public retraction of false publication. So I've just zoomed it in for you guys here, but you can see our law firm is legal counsel to social media commentator and content creator Denims. It has come to our attention that in response to an apparent Child Protective Services visit to your home in or around March 2025, you published numerous false statements on your YouTube channels H3 Podcast and H3 Productions, stating either that Denims herself filed the preceding CPS report about you, resulting in the improvident CPS visit to your home, or that Denims caused others to do so. Among other things you stated, Denims is participating in this CPS lie. Denims endorses this. Clearly, as you can see, she's not moderating this at all, and it's pretty much 100% of the comments saying call CPS on them, their kids should be taken away. And the last one, March 11th, you repeatedly insinuated that Denims was responsible for the CPS call, labeling her the real villain of the video. You also stated she has been such a nasty, pathetic, lying, just like such a horrible, disgusting person because you believe she was behind the CPS call. And so the main focus for this was just saying, hey, we won't go forward with any of this. We won't go for a defamation case if you retract your claims, which Ethan was not interested in doing. And in a short while here, we'll see how Ethan reacted to receiving this information. But I think the most useful thing to do right now would be to outline and show you guys what this is all talking about, what they're referencing with the CPS call and stuff. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the Ethan Klein Giardia Denims poop fiasco of about a couple months ago. Now, this is the clip that started it all. It's from the H3 podcast show with Ethan Klein. And in this segment, Ethan talks about how he believes his child has Giardia, as well as he believes his wife Hila has Giardia, and it has to do with poop being in the house.
Oh, Olive has Giardia, which is it's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
And Olive has this?
Olive has this, yeah. She came to us with it.
Okay.
She had diarrhea, so she has Giardia, so we have her on an antibiotic, but we had to wait until Monday, which is today. We just got it today. Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has Giardia.
Oh, shit.
And now Hila has Giardia.
Shut. For real?
And now I think this morning I had diarrhea.
Oh my gosh.
What can I do to not get it from you?
I'm trying to...
Because I'm not trying to get
Can
it.
we crank the AC maybe?
Is it?
It's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop. It can go on surfaces and stuff. So Olive chews everywhere. She's there. So, Sonny, it makes sense why he got it. Then once he starts having these crazy diarrheas, like in the middle of the night, all day, all the time he's having these crazy diarrheas, then when me and Hila start having to get in there and changing his diaper, obviously you put him down, you wash your hands as best you can, but these are really nasty diarrheas. So I haven't been diagnosed with it. Neither has Hila. Sonny went to the doctor today to get a poop evaluation.
So that clip right there is the foundation for this CPS arc, where over the next couple of days, all of Ethan's ops, so people like Denims, Hassan, all of these other people, Bad Empanada. That last one, the Empanada fellow, is apparently an absolutely terrible person. I'm not really getting into that because that's not the point of this video. But like I said, now people are talking about it, how this seems pretty bad, and the mention of CPS starts coming up from these streamers, but also from their viewers. It's me, Quintio, and I forgot to unmute my mic here. Haha. Here's the quarter. I'm gonna ask you, go ahead and call it heads or tails. I'm now gonna flip it. Here we go. Ooh. That is heads, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it, but I promise. Oh, there it is. Now, if you called heads, congratulations. You have just earned the privilege of watching me getting down on my knees and begging you to subscribe to my channel. If you called tails, I'm just gonna ask that you close your eyes and plug your ears for the next like 15 seconds. Can you pretty please with like a cherry on top subscribe? I have a spot for a silver play button like that general area. It'd be really cool. Also, you subscribing to my channel helps me support a guy like this in my house. This little cute guy, his name's Socks. He's really awesome. Sometimes he throws up a lot. On a serious note, if you're already subscribed, I really appreciate it. You guys are the whole reason I get to do this for a living, so thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. I'm now gonna show you a clip that has been talked about before, specifically in the content cop that iDubbbz has made. In a second here, you're going to start to see a Twitch chat showing up here on the left side of the screen, and it's not gonna mirror what is up here. A lot of people were under the belief that that was the intent of this. I went ahead and scrolled through, and the creator of this clip, who included that extra chat on the left, goes on to say, right, I clipped some of the chat messages talking about CPS and child neglect from this video. Now, we don't actually get to see that video because it was deleted by Denims, but I went and used the Wayback Machine and was able to find that this came from one of Denims' channels, Denims Daily, with them talking about H3H3 podcast attacks me. That's where the clips had come from, was her chat from this video. I'm not trying to get you guys confused on that, but it is additionally from her viewers from one of her other streams.
Denims host this and see what she says. And then now we wonder why people are calling Child Protective Services.
But they called it before I even did this stream.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something, but they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
This is where Ethan tells a story about his family getting giardia.
We already have mold Mondays. Now we have shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
No wonder his house is covered in dog shit, and his neglected children raised by nannies have contracted parasites previously unknown to science from the feces. I wonder why he skipped over all of this, because everything that I said in this story, which by the way was apparently compiled by his crew,
no wonder this motherfucker is always sick. Yeah, it all makes sense now. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How is this happening? How is it happening?
So I've seen two sides to this point. Number one, it was crazy that Denims went ahead and propagated and kind of like platformed this story from Bad Empanada, who already has a history of being a terrible person, who also did not confirm any of the points that they had made in their video. And to do that and feed into this idea that it is somehow this absolute hellhole that Ethan is living in and subjecting his children to, you hear her in the clip going, is that true? And then just moving on and acting like it is true. The idea that they're just leaving poop around the house like it is this feces infested mansion that he's living in is pretty insane, especially when you don't have anything to back it up other than Ethan saying that his kid has giardia. Now, the other side of this argument is, well, I mean, what do you expect? Ethan said full chest, he didn't say maybe his kid has giardia, he said that the kid does. If you say it like it is the truth, then people are going to run with that. And nobody that was covering this was a doctor. And from what I've understood, I've covered this kind of briefly in other videos. I've learned even just from that you can contract giardia in multiple different ways. You don't just have to get poo in your mouth. But still, regardless, the argument is mainly that, hey, I mean, Ethan said that his kids had giardia, and that's kind of a big issue. And the general consensus was, well, you have to get poop in your mouth. And if you're allowing a child to live in a house where they can get poop on their hands and then into their mouth, that's not a safe living condition. But continuing on with our timeline, a couple days pass after this and all of these streamers talking about it, and then CPS is called and they go over to Ethan's house and they end up having this entire situation where the phone call happened and then they visited. And then during this period, Ethan brings their kid in to see a pediatrician, and the pediatrician then confirms that the child at no point had giardia or has it right now. And so then we find out Ethan was just making this assumption based off of what he looked up for symptoms, things like that. But for the sake of argument, he made it sound like he knew for sure and that it was diagnosed that their kid had giardia. But having CPS called, from what I understand, it's a very intense thing to have CPS come to your house and like question your kids. And it can be really traumatic for the children because they have to ask a lot of questions. Things like, are they being touched in weird ways? And they go over the food that you have in the house, the cleanliness, all of this other stuff. And to Ethan's credit, in this moment, nothing does actually end up happening in regard to his kids or CPS. They didn't find anything that was bad enough to take the kids away. Not trying to like frame that any type of way, but that's, from what I understand, that's how CPS ends up working. But Ethan is really, really upset about this. And a lot of Ethan's ops, like Denims, is just kind of like, well, this was expected. You said that your kids had giardia. Why wouldn't you expect that some random viewer was going to call CPS or do something along those lines? This is again now around that time where Ethan starts making comments about Denims being a part of this issue. And he attributed a lot of the cause for this CPS visit to Denims and her behavior. Now, one thing to note about this stream that you saw in those clips, I was trying to find it and I found out that it was deleted. And here's a clip from Asmongold's Clips channel showing this fact.
They literally had Child Protective Services called on H3H3's family. And as you might notice, she immediately deleted the VOD after this happened.
Now, there's one additional thing I want to show you guys in regard to this as well, which is that when Denims is talking about this, she makes a counterpoint to CPS being a very difficult thing for a child to endure and experience, with this point that children at that age won't have memories that they're able to generate at that time, meaning that this kid won't even remember this event, so it won't be traumatizing to the kid. Denims ended up being wrong, and she proved herself wrong on stream and then just refused to acknowledge it.
When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff. But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15. You have maybe 1 or 2 memories. Yes, you will remember. So everyone in chat here has a collection, like 50 plus memories of when they were 3 years old. There's a wide variation across, about the mean, across methods, cohorts. The average age of adults' earliest memories is 3.5 years old. You're not really forming memories at 3. And it's pretty rare to be forming memories, or like memories that you will keep like at 5.
Not trying to poison the well here or anything. It was just really funny to me. Like, I don't know how you just so clearly and concisely debunk what you just said and then act like you didn't. But so this was the back and forth between Ethan and Denims. And this drama included Ethan blaming Denims multiple times for being the reason that CPS was called, which led to Denims doing this like threat of defamation if Ethan doesn't retract his statements. And she seemed to be serious. From a post here from Yeet, Denim claims she'll be suing Ethan Klein for defamation, even set up a GoFundMe. And here is that actual GoFundMe website here, suing Ethan Klein for defamation legal fund. Got up to $46,000, almost 47, woot woot. But it seemed, on all accounts, that she was taking this very seriously. I mean, asking for money for this case, a hefty sum of $150,000 being the goal, makes it seem like, yeah, you are taking this seriously and you're preparing for the worst. And now here's a clip of Ethan kind of doing his first statement after all this had came out publicly.
Don't sue me, Denims. Please. Please don't take the first legal action. What's that have to do with anything?
For clips.
Denims is a giant turd-eating monster whose life, financially speaking, I'm going to probably not ruin, but I do want to put her in some. I do want to put her into a bit of a bind. We'll work on it. I'm kidding, by the way.
So as you could tell there, Ethan wasn't really taking it all that serious. It was just kind of like, go ahead. Please do it. Let's have fun. I will financially ruin you. Obviously, as the little sign said, he must have been joking, but it's very clear, you know, regardless of the reasoning, that Ethan is totally ready to go to court over this. One point may just be that he is doing so much better off financially. He believes, in comparison to Denims, that going to court about this, even if he lost, wouldn't really mean anything for him. At the same time, it would also ruin her financially, which he would probably be a fan of because he is not a fan of Denims. On the other hand, he could just be very confident in his ability to, you know, win that case, or he just doesn't believe that there is an actual case against him that he could lose in this specific situation with defamation being the claim from Denims. Regardless of the reasoning, there was a little conversation after this as well, and Denims made this comment, which is just going to be useful for what I'm going to show you next, so I'm going to play that now. This was Denims' response to Ethan's statement there.
About me in general. 1, because like Arab, 2, because woman, 3, because I won't just fold. Because he's trying to bully me, I'm not going to just fold and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm never going to say anything mean again. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't play that game.
Well, it turns out that Denims lied. She did indeed fold. Denims tweeted out today, 1 week, 1,692 donations, and $46,000 later, I'm refunding the GoFundMe. If/when I go forward as a plaintiff, I will be self-funded. Thank you everyone for proving Ethan wrong. His behavior is unacceptable and people do care. Proceeding with a defamation suit against Ethan is a monumental undertaking. His suit with Kavanaugh started almost 4 years ago and is still ongoing. I don't want to fundraise to start a fight that I can't finish, and I feel like I've let down those who have donated. With that in mind, if this is a journey I wish to undertake, I'll be doing it with my own funds. I'll be keeping all of you posted if anything happens while the statute of limitations runs for the next year, and I'll be elaborating on stream Friday. I appreciate all of you for your support. It means more than you know. So from what she's saying here, she's going to refund all of the people that donated to her. But in addition, she kind of makes it clear that she's not going to pursue anything right now, or she's not actually going to legally start a case with Ethan and is going to just kind of wait and watch over the course of the amount of time she has left. That's due to the statute of limitations with defamation cases being you can't use the evidence you want for defamation if it's been past a year of that statement being made. So essentially, she's like, well, I can, I just am not going to at this moment, and I might make that decision over this next 10 months. Now, a lot of people are taking this as you did call it quits, you gave up, your lawyer must have told you that there was no way you were winning this, etc., etc. And so Denims made a reply to her own post to make her argument as to why she didn't do this and why that actually doesn't mean that she's just giving up. She replied to her post saying, why issue a retraction letter and crowdfund if you weren't serious about your legal threat? I was and am. If CCC, whatever that thing is, 48A applies, you must issue a retraction letter within 20 days of the defamatory statement before you can pursue a lawsuit. This is why Ethan was so prompt in his letter to Noah but has yet to file a suit, if he ever actually planned on doing so. I changed my mind about crowdfunding because I realized that I didn't like the money grubbing narrative. Normally this wouldn't be an issue because I could just be transparent with how the money was spent, but over the lengths of time that a lawsuit would span, it isn't realistic, and just doing my best isn't enough for an offensive lawsuit. Not to mention, if he does end up filing something against me, it feels strange to crowdfund for a defamation suit and for defense at the same time, and mixing the funds feels even stranger. This is the cleanest way to move forward. And you can see from the comments on her post, people aren't necessarily in support of the argument she's making. Goosemas, translation, the law firm I talked with said I don't really have a case. So the grift didn't work, huh? And someone else saying that you're able to just endlessly spin this story to your followers and they lap this slop up so willingly is truly scary. I wish you the best, but I hope you use your powers for good, not evil. Kind of cringe, but word. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you think that her point that she was making as to why she stopped the lawsuit makes sense? Do you think that she'll actually end up following through before the statute of limitations makes it impossible for her to sue him on this? Or do you think she's completely full of shit and found out either through her lawyers or just looking at what's going on that she for sure didn't have a case and this didn't end up playing out how she wanted it to? Like I said, curious to hear your guys' thoughts, but if you're here at the end, consider subscribing to the channel. I mean, you stuck around this long, come on. But also check the pinned comment for a link to my Discord. I like to chat with you guys, chat to my subs, and again, I just really appreciate that you're here and that you're letting me do this. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Adios. Bye.